Yeah. Hi. First things first, I'm wearing this because I'm speaking slightly softer because everyone else in the house is currently asleep and I don't want to wake them. But also, this means that the house is completely quiet. So, yeah, so I hope that the sound from the headphones is gonna be enough to compensate for me speaking a little quieter. But just in case it's not, I hope that turning the volume up helps. Uh, because irrespective of the level of audio, I'm gonna shoot this once and I'm gonna post it once. So here we are. So I have amassed over the past 4 years quite a number of unread books, and I really want to read most of them, if not all, so that I can so that the next time someone asks me if I've read all of these books, I can be like, yeah, well, except for this one book, or yeah, except for a couple. So, perfect motivator to read your books, display them, and then the flex. The flex is a good motivation. So, yeah, I want to be able to flex more. So, just having them here is not enough. I need to have read them all. But considering that I have somewhere over 350, 376 was the number, I believe, the last time I counted, and I'm pretty sure that I bought a bunch more since then. So since I have close to 400 books, it's intimidating to see how many of those I've read and how many have not. So this seemed to be quite a challenge for me, but I've come up with an idea to divide it into parts, break it down into a series of sorts, and then read in the way that I'm breaking it down. And I think that that seems very, very doable. In fact, one of these segments I want to cover within December before the end of the year. And it is like, what, one third of the way through the month? What is it? I believe it's like 10th December today. So, wish me luck. But also, let me just start by talking about what it is that I actually plan to do before I get on with it. Right. So, I have bookshelves, and there are all these sections in my shelves, and I've divided it into 16 parts, right? 9 of these, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So this section, oh, it does contain a few books that I haven't read. That'll make it 17 then. Alright, so I have 17 sections, which means I'll be going section by section, part of the bookshelf at a time, and I'll try to finish all the books in that particular section at one time and then move on to the next one. This way, I'll have a smaller target at a time, and I can just be like, oh yeah, I've completed all the books in this bookshelf except this section, or like all the books except this one section right here. Uh, yeah, the flex really comes second. It's more about the breakdown. So I thought that in each video I could start by going over the books in a particular section, and yeah, we could do like a reading vlog or a mini review and a progress update of sorts with the books in that particular section. I might have to break down the videos into subparts or into like a part 1 and a part 2 if there are way too many unread books in a particular section. But for now, I think I'm going to be starting with this bottom section in the center shelf right here. I'm not sure if this is like clearly visible in the video, so I'll just take a video of these books specifically and I'll put it here in the video. I'll overlay it with me still talking. Yep. So this, because we had this glass added custom to the shelf, it's not a part of the shelf. This part is a little bit tricky. He said that if we keep opening it over time, it'll wear out the wood, but I'm scared to damage the shelf and I am terrified of breaking glass, so this is the best I'm gonna do. Over here we've got 6 Crimson Cranes, The Dragon's Promise, 6 of Crows, Crooked Kingdom, King of Scars, Rule of Falls, The Little Thieves, A Deadly Education, The Last Graduate, The Golden Enclaves, These Violent Lights, Our Violent Ends, Foul Lady Fortune, Foul Hard Huntsman, and Last Violent Call. Out of these books, I am starting off easy. The only book that I have not read yet is The Dragon's Promise. But because it's been a while since I've read 6 Crimson Cranes, I will have to reread 6 Crimson Cranes before I start on The Dragon's Promise. So that's 2 books that I need to read from these shelves, because I need to read the first one in order to read the second one. So I'll be starting with that particular book, and I'll keep updating you guys on how it goes. And that will be one part of this video. Another series that I think I'm gonna try to do is, when I do go section by section trying to figure out how many unread books I have, is to just go through all the unread books that I have. So it would be actually nice to have a number, and now that I know that I'm breaking it down into these smaller subsections, it will be easier to tackle. Not to read, just tackle the concept of eventually reading all these books. And I also am kind of initiating or instigating a book buying ban on myself. I don't actually really believe in those, because once you tell yourself, hey, I'm not gonna do this thing, your brain actually starts to obsess over that thing, and then you end up doing that thing in bulk. Like if you tell yourself that I'm not gonna buy any more books, your brain will keep, every time you look at a new book, you'll be like, oh, I wish I could buy that, but I can't. And the more it happens, the more and more you keep thinking about buying books, I can't buy books, until one day when you're having like a terrible 14-hour work day, the 4th one of the week, and then you come home and you're like, screw this, I need a treat. And that treat ends up being like 20 books. I've never bought 20 books, I bought like 4. But yeah, so I don't really believe in those, but there needs to be a limit to things, as there is a limit of space on my shelves. So I was thinking that because the book fair is coming up, so I kind of want to set myself an achievable target and not buy any more books until I hit that target. So I do have a specific list of books that I'm going to let myself buy at the book fair, not before. But I'm only going to do that if I'm able to read 10% of the unread books on my shelves. I think that's achievable, I think that's doable, and hopefully there are far less unread books on my shelves than I think there are, so that I can actually achieve a higher percentage of this, like ideally 50%. But I can't really comment on that unless I know how many books I have. So wish me luck. And I also just wanted to say that there's a very pretty, gorgeous, amazing, beautiful sunset outside. But also I wanted to say that while I'm gonna tackle my unread books shelf by shelf, I won't necessarily be sticking to just that shelf exclusively. For example, if I wanted to read Poppy War and The Dragon's Promise, I would read The Burning God, and it's in a different shelf, so it's not like I'm gonna stop the series in the middle and not read the final book. So it's not gonna be exclusively that shelf, but I will try that it's mostly that particular shelf. So yep, that's my little decision, my little goal, my little challenge. I don't know, I tried to do a French accent on challenge. Moira Rose vibes, right? So yep, wish me luck. 17 sections, 3 shelves, 17 subsections. Let's go. And I'll see you with an update in a bit, in a day or 2 or so. And I also need to make a list of all the books that I need to read before the year ends. So I'll see you then. maybe you'll see me then before you see me with updates on the books. All right, good. Let's go watch the sunset. Hello. I say the funniest, funkiest, weirdest hellos and then get distracted by them. Alright, hello, hi. A human hello for you. Look at these. Look at these owls on my shirt. They're so cute, right? I love them. And my pimple patch matches the outfit. Okay, right. Back to the. Ooh, this is such a pretty blue. It kind of goes with the fit. Nice. Right, coming back to this section of the video, I started reading Six Crimson Cranes in order to read The Dragon's Promise, and it's a gorgeous book. I mean, it's an amazing book, don't get me wrong. I've read it and I loved it and I couldn't get it out of my head for a while after it came out. It's just that at that time the sequel had not been released and I had to wait a year, and then ultimately it kept getting pushed back. So yeah, rereading this one. I'm only about 35 pages in, and this is like 454 pages. So I don't think it's gonna take me that long to read it though. Is it in frame? It's not in frame. Let's change the position in the middle of the video. Taste the thunder and all that. Right, so yeah, I can do this. So I have started reading it. I am enjoying it. One thing that I noticed is like even right from the beginning, this book has references to bird-like characteristics. Like the writing incorporates metaphors and similes that have to do with birds and cranes, and that's very interesting, right? Because you know the book is called Six Crimson Cranes, and if you've read it, you know what's gonna happen. So right, even just 3 chapters in, it's the imagery is very evocative. This is the one thing that I really loved about this book the first time that I read it as well. And then the second thing was how easy to read it was. The third thing was like how easy it was to get into the headspace of the character, and I'm really looking forward to all that again. And I binged this book the last time I read it. I think I took a day off work to finish it because I started it at night, then I stayed up pretty late, but then I couldn't read all of it because I was reading it on my phone on as an ebook, and the text was too small, so I was going a little bit slower. But then I think I had to take like half a day or the next day off of work. This was back in lockdown, and I sat in my bed and I just finished this book. And there's something, all right, that might be a bit of a spoiler, so I'll read it and then I'll talk about it if it's not a spoiler. But there was a certain moment where I was really in the main character's head, to the point where I forgot that I was not the main character. So maybe I'll do a little like spoilery section in this video at some point. But yeah, so I'm reading Six Crimson Cranes. Wish me luck, and I'll see you when I've read more of it or hopefully finished it. Hi! In this video, you're probably seeing me experimenting a little bit with the filming angles and locations, and yeah, I'm just trying stuff out and seeing what works. So, last time I checked in, 2 seconds ago, I had just started reading Six Crimson Cranes, and now I've finished The Dragon's Promise. So this was the sequel to Six Crimson Cranes, and this is the one book that I needed to read in order to check off one of the 17 sections or segments of books on my bookshelves that have 100 books. So yay! With this, I can successfully say that I am 1/17th. See, this is why we need to teach statistics, because technically I am 1/17th of the way into reading my entire physical unread TBR, but this does not take into account the distribution of books on those 17 segments. So, yeah, this is why we need basic math, right? Anyway, so I'm done, finished reading The Dragon's Promise. I enjoyed this book. Mm, I think I'll do a more in-depth review of when I do my December wrap up, because I'm thinking of doing those now. And because I did make a TBR video, so it makes sense for me to have a wrap up video as well. So I finished reading this, and after reading these two books, I really wanted to read the prequel. But of course, I am not buying any more books right now. I'm considering getting it on audiobook or like an ebook, but we'll see. Just because it doesn't add on to the physical TBR does not mean that it's not an edition, right? So we'll see what I do about that. But yeah, um, I finished reading The Dragon's Promise. So this has been the first part of this series, and realistically, I know that it's gonna take a while for this series to get completed, and I totally get it. It's just made it more easier, much more manageable for me to now look at my unread books and start like completing small sections. And again, I do think that I'm gonna go for sections with lesser number of 100 books and do the I am 1/17th of the way into the video thing. So that'll be fun, that'll be nice, and that'll be like a good little checkpoint, a little motivation for me to continue doing that and continue reading all of these books that I have. I am trying very hard not to attach morality to my unread books, because there's that tweet, right, about how having a good book collection is quite like having a wine cellar, and you pair the correct book with the correct mood, the correct timing where you are in life, like similar to how you would pair the correct wine to the correct meal. So it's good to have the options, and I know what a privilege it is. And I keep emphasizing these bookshelves, but I know what a privilege it is to have them, to have worked and been in a position to be able to get these shelves in the first place. So I understand all of that. Yeah, so I'm trying not to attach morality to owning 100 books. It's not good or bad. It is what it is, but I do need to be mindful of how much stuff I buy without getting to the rest of it first. So, yeah, this is a good series to do. I know not many video I know not many people watch these videos, which is fine. It's just a fun little outlet for me, and a good thing to look back on. Like I recently went through my channel and looked at a few of the videos that I'd done previously, and I was it's nice to be able to look back at yourself fondly, and this is something I enjoy, so it's nice to have documentation about my tastes, my hobbies, my interests, and even my perceptions of books, because that can also change. So even that is a privilege to be able to do that. And yeah, so I have gone through all the books on my shelves that are unread, but I'm gonna do another video where I'm gonna go through all of them. So I'm not even gonna give you the number right now. I'll just go through the books that are unread, and for the purpose of that video we will be counting The Dragon's Promise in it. And I'll be categorizing those books, because there's like recipe books. I've technically not read those, but should they count in my unread or like in my physical TBR? So stuff like that. So maybe the actual number that we'll end up with will be slightly smaller, and I'm hoping to do little cute little illustrations for that video. So that'll be fun and something to look forward to if you're into that kind of thing, and something to look forward to for myself making that kind of thing, because I've never done that before. So yep, this has been fun. I read two books for this. It was nice. I got back into physical reading, like reading physical books again, because I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks because of all the chores and stuff that I have to do. So it was nice to just set aside a whole weekend and dedicate it to reading. That was really nice. And yep, let's make a dent in this TBR. And I'll see you in the next video. Hello. First things first, I'm wearing this because I'm sleeping. Yeah.